Hello there, Mandy here. Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart is not just a podcast. It's also a book, a free online grief group, and a one-on-one private coaching practice. If you are interested in learning more, visit mandykapehart.com to find out how restorative grief can help you heal heart, mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart. You are listening to episode 214, titled Grief in the Season of Gratitude. Ever notice how around this time of year, everything starts to sound like a gratitude checklist? We are told to count our blessings, to focus on the positive, and to remember what really matters. And while gratitude is beautiful, for those of us living with grief, it can also sting. So this week, we're going to discuss how we can hold space for ourselves to grieve without checking out during the holiday celebrations. Gratitude is complex because we want to celebrate what we have and what matters to us. But sometimes what really matters is what's missing. Sometimes what we are most aware of are the empty spaces, the seat that's no longer filled, or the phone that doesn't ring, or the tradition that ended too soon. So what do we do with gratitude when our hearts feel broken? How do we participate in a season of thankfulness when we're holding so much sorrow? Here's what I've learned through my own restorative grief practice. Gratitude and grief are not opposites, they're companions. Grief asks us to pay attention to what we've lost. Gratitude asks us to pay attention to what remains. And restorative grief invites us to hold both without forcing either. So maybe your gratitude looks different this year. Maybe it's quieter. Maybe it's not a journaled list of everything you're thankful for, but a single breath of awareness. I'm still here. I'm still trying. I'm still capable of love. Because that counts too. Culturally, we've been taught to use gratitude as a way to bypass pain in many ways, as if saying thank you enough times will make the ache disappear. But that's not gratitude, that's avoidance. True gratitude, a restorative gratitude, acknowledges our pain. It honors our full story. It says, I can be grateful for what was and still mourn that it's gone. I can be thankful for the person I've become through grief, even if I wish I didn't learn this way. Restorative grief is about integration, not erasure. It's about allowing the energy of love, even love expressed through tears, to move through us without shame. And in that sense, gratitude becomes a grounding practice rather than a performance. This time of year can bring up complicated dynamics as well. Maybe your family table doesn't feel like a safe place. Maybe gratitude feels forced in a room where silence has become the way people cope. If that's your experience, I want to remind you, you don't owe anyone a performance of thankfulness. You don't have to fake peace to prove your own growth. Your grief does not disqualify you from gratitude. It deepens your capacity for it. So if you are feeling weary as we go into these holiday seasons, I want to invite you to practice what I call slow gratitude. It's not about big gestures or perfect prayers. It's about noticing small truths in real time. The warmth of the sunlight on your skin, this first taste of coffee in the morning, a friend who texted just to check in. These aren't cures, but they are anchors. So here's a simple way to practice. Each evening this week, take 2 minutes to pause before bed. Place a hand on your heart and take a deep breath, naming aloud one thing that offered you comfort today. It doesn't need to be profound. Maybe it was just the way the light came through the window, or that you got out of bed when you didn't want to. We can let that be enough. This isn't about collecting moments of gratitude. It's about training your body to remember that even when grief feels heavy, there is still something steady beneath it. Over time, this 2-minute ritual becomes a form of self-trust, a reminder that you can hold both grief and goodness in the same breath. And as we know, self-trust is a skill we develop that leads us back to ourselves when grief and chaos make the world feel uncertain. Slow gratitude gives your nervous system time to trust that you can hold complexity. It helps you realize that love and loss don't cancel each other out, they coexist. So maybe this November, gratitude is not a command. Perhaps it's an invitation to stay present, to soften, to remember that even in grief, beauty still happens. And when it does, you don't have to capture it or explain it. You can just breathe it in and let it remind you that you are allowed to feel it all. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be grateful and grieving at the very same time, even in the very same breath. Thank you for listening to episode 214 of Restorative Grief. If this time of year feels complicated for you, please know that you are not alone in that complexity. Gratitude isn't meant to silence your grief. It's meant to remind you that love still exists, even here. If you found this conversation meaningful, please subscribe, leave a review, and consider becoming a patron to support the ongoing work of Restorative Grief. You'll gain access to bonus episodes and workbooks to guide your personal practice. The links are in the show notes. Thank you to each of my current patrons for supporting this work and keeping me going. And as always, before we go, please remember, the only solution for grief is to do the work of grieving. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.